Hey, I'm here with a list of demands. Follow the show wherever you listen. Subscribe, share, like, and comment on the show on YouTube. Follow any and all of my social media as well. All of the links are in the description. And finally, if you're a real fan, which most of you aren't, head on over to buymeacoffee.com, use the link in my description, and buy me a goddamn coffee. It supports the show, which is me. So you're supporting me. Now that you've successfully ignored that, go ahead and enjoy today's episode. Ding dong, the witch is dead, the witch is dead. Good morning, everybody, and thank you for tuning into the show. It is Monday, who knows the day? Oh, well, it's Monday the 12th for you guys, right? Monday the 12th. I am recording a little earlier than I normally would like to, a couple days before the episode comes out. I don't love doing that. I think it's a little weird, a little disingenuous, but it happens. It happens. I've put myself in a position to do so. So that's what the fuck it is. We lost a revered member of our society as humans, the Queen of England. If you haven't heard yet, that racist Muppet dinosaur monarch is fucking dead. Yahoo! And now her racist Muppet dinosaur son can take her place, and they can have a king for a really long time. I mean, how long was she the fucking queen? Who knows? Who knows? But that family, the fact that there's still a royal family, the real royal family is the Kardashians, right? We can pretty much say that, and they're from America. That's the real royal. Oops, let me get back in the camera. The real royal family is the Kardashians. I mean, if you don't believe that, then you're living under a rock. They are the modern monarchs of this world, not the country, but this world. Definitely the country. The presidential cabinet and the Congress, they have nothing on the Kardashians. The Kardashians have built a legitimate monarchy, an empire, because they have mixed the two things that have been able to captivate every person that lives in this country. And because the U.S. is one of the major superpowers, the captivators, being the Kardashians, have to be the top of the heap here. They have to be the top of the heap. The two things are really, really good looks, phenomenal good looks. Like, the whole family's fucking beautiful. They can afford to be beautiful. They are, everyone in the family is absolutely stunning, and it's no coincidence. So you take that, and then you take extreme wealth, you mash those two together, and you get it on film. That's all it takes. And they were the first ones to do it the right way. They were the first ones to go out and really, really plaster their talentless, fucking miserable faces. All beautiful, beautiful faces. They're all painted on, right? But they're still beautiful. They are gorgeous. And they have way more money than anybody I know and will ever know. They have way more money, way more recognition. So this is just some asshole in his apartment with no future talking a bunch of shit, right? This is me just getting it out there that the Kardashians are the real royal family. They are, and they have been since their inception. The queen hasn't been cool since she killed her daughter-in-law, okay? Let's be honest here. The queen hasn't been rocking for a while until she put that hit on Princess Diana. And if you don't agree with me on that, then you're wrong. I mean, we can just say that, right? You're wrong. It's just like if you say that, Lee Harvey Oswald killed JFK. Not true. It's not. Well, maybe it could be true, but to say that it was only him and he worked, these are just things that aren't, they're ideas that aren't widely held anymore. Nobody believes that Princess Diana wasn't killed by the Queen by somehow. She liked too many things that the Queen disliked. And when you got an entire nation behind you, you don't have to do anything, right? You don't have to do anything. Now, don't get me wrong, guys. The Kardashians definitely stole the blueprint. They stole the blueprint from the Queen, but they perfected it, right? It's just like pizza. Like everyone says, the Greeks were the ones who started pizza, but the Italians perfected it. They figured it out. Same thing with pasta and noodles. They got the noodles from China. We figured it the fuck out, okay? The Italians figured it out. And just like the Kardashians were able to bring that platform into modernity, bring a new flavor to the world. You mean to tell me that if Queen Elizabeth could have released a sex tape with her and, I don't know, Keith Richards or something back in the 80s, that wouldn't have blown them up? That wouldn't have blown them up? It definitely would have. It would have brought them to new heights that the royal family never would have seen. It is just so strange to me that that's even still a thing, the royal family. And it doesn't mean anything, right? Like most politics don't mean anything. We can agree that most politics don't mean anything. They're all just shows, and especially here in America. I don't know about what it is in other countries. Maybe in other countries they hold their politicians with more reverence. They hold their politicians, but they weren't politicians. These people weren't politicians. They were just figureheads. They were people that were born into an incestuous family, a racist family, don't forget that. And it just so happened that they come from a bloodline of royalty. Royalty that was ruthless at one point in history. People like to look at these monarchs, this family. They like to look at this specific family, and they like to think that it's like a Disney movie. They like to think that it's a queen and a king, and they hold hands, and and maybe that could be true because they don't hold any power these days, or not the same amount of power that a traditional king and queen and monarchy would actually hold. Like in Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia, I'm pretty sure, is the only legitimate monarchy that still exists. You could fact check me on that, but I think that's actually true, where the prince, the Saudi prince, is he's the guy who makes the last choice on things. That's not the case with the royal family. And people like to look at them as Disney stars. But when you think of actual royalty, when you think of the kings of yore, the olden days, King Martin Luther, right? All these King Henry VIII or whatever, I don't know, the Queen who would kill him. I mean, these people were ruthless, absolute ruthless, tyrannical, authoritarian fucking leaders. These people weren't anything that's great. Right? I mean, they were just killing people. They were doing things, and of course, it was medieval times. It was a lot, but I just want to raise awareness to the family that some of you people are still infatuated over. The monarchy that is now reduced to, an episode of Sesame Street, but it came from a place of immense power, lawlessness, things that you would read about and you would say, my God, those are crimes against humanity in today. But now, if they do those things, which I don't push past them, if you're part of the royal family, you definitely have some pull. You're definitely able to do some fucked up things, but you don't see it as often, right? It's not out there as often. If people in England are blaming anybody for their government going and killing innocent people, they're not blaming the Queen. They're blaming Parliament. They're blaming the Prime Minister, whatever. And again, I don't know anything about how things go down over there. I don't know if England has a military-industrial complex. We're so sheltered. at least in my mind, I'm like, wait a second, your country doesn't go into economically downtrodden areas and take advantage of cheap labor and high quality natural resources, and you guys don't bleed them dry, and then sell them weapons, and you guys don't do these things. Interesting. So I don't know. I don't know if they do that in England, but I do know that at one point England was a major, major superpower. There was a time where if you were part of the royal family in England, you were that person. People knelt in front of you. People bowed their heads when they saw you. They probably couldn't even look at you if you were the king. Now, it was sexy in those days to be a king. Now, the king is ancient, the prince is ancient, right? People live long, so they have really long reigns of anything. Long reigns of being the queen, a long reign of being, holding any position of power, a judge, anything. So people live a really long time, and it gets less sexy as time goes on, naturally, right? Like most things do. If you're a young, you're a young hip politician, and you're getting out there, and you're shaking hands, and you're kissing babies, and you're meeting people, and you're telling everyone, hey, this is it, and everyone's like, yeah, that's the guy. That guy's awesome. But you're still doing it when you're 70. People are like, okay, give it up. When the fuck is this person going to die? Are they going to die soon? Like the Queen was 96. How long was her reign? I don't know. My phone's charging. I don't really care. But how long? Ever since my mother was a child, if I had to assume, she was probably the Queen, still the fucking Queen. I mean, she was born in like the 20s. By the time my mom was born, it was the 60s, so she was in her 40s. She might have been a princess, but she was soon to be the queen. But it's funny how we mourn some of these people. We mourn some of these, these leaders, these figureheads, because we don't really know the type of people that they were. We have a pretty good idea of the type of people that the royal family are, right? We choose to look past it when somebody dies. When somebody dies, you gotta just put all that stuff to the side, man. They're not around. They can't defend themselves. Isn't that the best time to strike? I'm a martial artist, right? From the beginning. If someone can't defend themselves, and that's the best time to strike. If there's no ref, if this is a street fight, which this podcast is, this is a street fight, that's the best time to strike, when they're dead and gone. I mean, there's no repercussions. It's not like the Queen would have come knocking on my door anyway, but now the likelihood of that is far lower. Far lower than it already was. I don't know. It's strange. It's strange that there's a family out there that everyone has decided is better than everybody else. Everyone has decided that they get to live in Buckingham Palace and they get to have anything just for being born in the family. Just for being born. And it's not that different. Upon saying these things, I kind of realize that it's not that different than in real life. Right? And it's not that different than in real life. Presidents are born and bred. Presidents, senators, all these people are already in position. People who are wealthy, right? There are only so many success stories. When I mean success, I mean like monumental. Came from nothing, now I'm a CEO of a fucking company. There's only so many of those. There's so few and far between. Everyone has their own success story, right? You come from someplace, you end up somewhere else, and that somewhere else is better than when you started. That's success. That's good. But I'm talking about these people with immense power. It's the same people. It's the same people. It's the same... And if it's not, then it's picked by those people, that family, But realistically, I mean... the real queen is Kris Jenner, right? The real queen is Kris Jenner. And that's easy to see. It's one of the easiest things to see, in the world. It is she she controls a royal family. She does. She's got two daughters. She's got five daughters, right? Five daughters. She pressed out. And do they have? And Rob, right? Is he? I don't know. I don't care about these soulless fucking bureaucratic people. Like I know they're not bureaucrats, but elitists. I don't care about that shit. But she's got a bunch of kids, and they're all multi-millionaires. Fucking Kylie Jenner is one of the richest women in the world. One of the richest women in the world. Everybody knows who Kylie Jenner is. Everyone knows who everyone knows all three Kardashians. They know who they're dating. They know who they're divorced to. Everybody knows all these things. I don't know these things, but I know some of them, right? I know some of them. I know Kylie was dating Trav, and they have a kid. I know Kim with the Ray J and fucking Chloe with Lamar, and there's a couple more basketball players in there who I don't remember, and obviously Kim with Kanye and fucking Pete Davidson, and then you got Courtney with Travis Barker hanging out with Megan Fox, switching blood with each other, whatever the fuck they do. These people are the royal family. They are. And Chris was on one of these late shows. What is it? Jimmy Corbin, whatever the fuck his name is. And they were doing a lie detector test, which I think is actually hilarious. I think it is very funny that we take our royalty and we put them on where they belong, right? Because our royalty is different than the royalty over the pond over there. They look at them as very revered, put together, aristocratic family, a family with years and years of history in the country. They at least have something to grab onto. They have an illusion to hold on to about their family, whereas our family here in America, we have no illusions. We can literally I could right now jerk off to Kim Kardashian getting fucked by Ray J. I could do that. I could, we have no qualms about them because they wear it on their chest. At least they wear it on their chest, guys. At least that whole family knows that they're just the only reason that they are successful is because they're gorgeous and they were able to market their wealth to everybody else and make it seem like it was, like you knew them, right? With the reality show, like they were some of the first people to really put together a serious reality show where people would tune in and they would go, wow, I watch them so often, I feel like I know them. I feel like I am friends with the Kardashians. So that's why everybody hopped on that fucking train. Everybody hopped on the train. They're gorgeous. They say outrageous things. They're absolutely loaded. And every once in a while, they express things that you may express as well. Not always. That's not what the show is about. But when they add that little, they add a little something in there, maybe Kim complaining about the gas prices for a quick second, as she swipes her Ritz-Carlton titanium black card that has no limit. As she does that, right, into her whatever machine that she fucking drives down the street on her way to go get dicked down by her 16th mega famous superstar boyfriend, And people will look at that and say, you know what, she's right. Those gas prices are ridiculous. They're ridiculous. But, I mean, she comes from royalty. She comes, and here's the thing, guys. Even before her show and her rise to fame, I mean, her dad was one of the proponents or one of the moving pieces in OJ's case. I mean, he was his lawyer. He was part of the Dream Team. It's funny we still call them the Dream Team. I mean, there's obviously the real Dream Team, basketball, the whole thing. But the Dream Team was the team that was in charge of getting OJ off of a murder, which is exactly what happened. So she, you can't blame where you come from. You can't choose where you come from, so you can't blame your past. All you can do is move forward and try to do something a little different. If you're embarrassed about your past, which they aren't, but if you come from a place that's not great, right? Or you come from a place that was, again, not them, but then all you can do is just leave that behind and go forward. She did the opposite. She dug her heels in. She knew that her dad was a part of helping a man who murdered his wife and boyfriend, right? Helping a man go walk free. And again, that's his job. He was a lawyer. That's what he's supposed to do. So it makes him good at his job. And everybody saw them as rock stars. Rob Kardashian, or whatever the fuck his name is. Along with Johnny Cochran and the fucking rest of the team, they were able to get OJ off by making this case about race. And it worked very well. And she went ahead, saw that, and said, we can figure something. We're not going to make it about race. But you guys did something very, very, very interesting. You guys switched things around. I know that's your job, Dad. You're a lawyer. You're supposed to switch things around. But you guys did something pretty interesting. You showed him one thing, and you made him forget about what the real thing is. So when Kim is showing you her big, fat, sexy ass and titties and beautiful face, she's showing you one thing, but there's something that she's hiding. There's something that her whole family is hiding. Maybe it's the fact that they're all gold diggers. And that's what I'm saying. You forget about it. The whole family is a bunch of gold digging leeches who only care about fame. They don't care how they get it. They don't care what they have to do. That's all they care about. They just want the fame. So they're going to show you one thing, fat ass, titties, beautiful face, luxurious life. But they're not going to draw attention to what's going on back here, how they're exploiting all different kinds of avenues, how they're exploiting what people believe about them, how they're able to shape what people believe about them. You're going to ignore all the flaws that these people have because they don't show them to you, right? If you don't show people your flaws, they won't ever think of you as a flawed person. If the only thing that you show on social media is the number one proponent of this. If you go on someone's social media, if you go on someone's Instagram, nobody is going to show you a picture of them fat as fuck, right? Unless the next picture is them skinny. They lost a bunch of weight. That's the only time. They're only going to show that. They're only going to show something that makes them look better, makes them look good. They're not going to show the struggle. Why would they do that? And that family has perfected that move by never, ever showing when they're lacking, never showing when they're feeling a real human thing. They just move up. Like, think about it, right? Kanye and Kim, they broke up. Kanye had a public mental breakdown. People saw how flawed of a human he is, just like we all are. Kim went and got Pete Davidson and posted him immediately. Hey, look, we're fucking. I don't know how many kids with Kanye. We had some kids, and we were together. We got married, but that doesn't mean anything. That was only for us to be a power couple. You know, he wanted this. This didn't work out. We broke up. He's in shambles. Look at me. But here's the difference. Kanye's talented. Kanye has immense talent. He's a generational talent. He's a genius. And we've seen him at his worst. That's the thing. We don't see, when you don't show people at their worst, you never imagine them there. You never imagine them there. That's why the best way to take a loss is to address it. The best way to take a loss is to just, or don't address it. You can't do any middle ground. Address it or don't address it. And if you're going to address it, go all the way. Get that boyfriend and show him the fuck off. Show him, get that girl. You just broke up with your girlfriend and she's in disarray. Post a video of you getting a blowjob. That's the way to combat that shit. That's the way to do it. But you never see anybody in entertainment. You rarely see them showing you a side of them that they otherwise wouldn't want to show. You never see fighters posting themselves getting knocked out. You do sometimes, and it's interesting. Kamaru Usman took it on the chin, both literally and, when it comes to handling that loss. He is an example of a great way to handle loss, a great way. But an elite way, the most elite way is to never, ever show that you've ever lost. You've never lost. Kim Kardashian has never lost. She's never lost in her life. She's never lost. She's had all the Kardashians. They've had husbands, and they get divorced, and they got no problem moving on to the next thing. And if they do have a problem, they don't show it. So they are the royal family, guys. They're the real royal family. So I think 9/11 is pretty much water under the bridge at this point. Right? I've always begged the question for some years now, when will 9/11 become Victory over Japan Day? When will it just be a forgotten thing? Because everyone says gone but not forgotten, which is false, right? We all forget things all the time. I don't think about 9/11 until the day of 9/11 and everybody and their mother is posting a picture of the Twin Towers. It's the only time it ever crosses my mind, or if I'm making a joke, right? And I would think that that is a good gauge for everyone to shut the fuck up about it and let it be. It wasn't like it was a legitimate attack, right? You guys still think it's a legitimate? I'm not a crazy conspiracy theorist. I take things, I like to take in information and question it, like we all should. And I'm not saying that it was a set-up thing, but I'm not saying that it was a set-up thing. I do think that the powers that be probably had something to do with it. And it was used for fear-mongering. It was used to get us into a war that we got nothing out of other than a lot of money. We got a lot of money out of it, which is what most wars are fought for anyway. They're just games. They're just people playing games, guys. That's what war is. It's a big game. You think Russia wouldn't... You don't think Russia could have just completely taken out Ukraine? They're playing a game. They want to squeeze everybody, make them nervous. They want to drive the price up of their oil, They're keeping everyone on edge with a move. They made a move, and now everyone's like, what are we going to do? We got to watch out. We got to figure something out. They're going to do something nuts. They're going to do something crazy. But they haven't yet. I mean, they have. They've been fucking killing people, but they haven't done what everyone's thinking. They haven't absolutely overrun Ukraine and taken the country and nuked them and set up whatever. And, we haven't seen that yet. Doesn't mean it won't happen. But it's all just games. And 9/11 was a fun little party game that the Bush administration came up with and said, hey, this is like pin the tail on the donkey. Let's get everyone behind a common enemy. We'll lose some people, right? We'll lose a couple hundred people, but it'll be okay. It'll be fine. Everyone that is alive will be united behind this one cause, so people are going to feel good. It is a way to get nationalism going again. Patriotism, nothing brings people more together like a legitimate tragedy caused by a foreign threat. Specifically by a foreign threat, because we have tragedies all the time. Mass shootings all the time. Nobody gives a fuck about those. Nobody cares. Nobody cares about domestic terrorism. They need a foreign enemy. They need someone that's not from here to come here and fuck everybody up. Now, that being said, if a foreign terrorist attack were to happen, I don't entirely think that people will start caring about mass shootings. I don't think so. I don't think one offsets the other, but I do think that people rally behind the country more when a catastrophe happens and the perpetrators aren't from here. They aren't from here, and it might even help to have some already built-in prejudices about those people, right? Just like in the 40s when Japan came here, people already were antsy about the Japanese. You don't need me to tell you that, okay? You don't need me to tell you that there were American internment camps for the Japanese. You don't need me to tell you that Asians are responsible for building a lot of the railways on the East Coast, probably most of them on the East Coast. On the West Coast, and were treated very poorly and were looked at as second-class citizens. You don't need me to tell you those things. Now, I'm not saying that Pearl Harbor was a government plot, because I don't think that one was. I think World War II was probably the only legitimate war that has been fought in a really long since. Let's put it that way. That's the only legitimate war that the U.S. has been involved in, and we've been involved in a lot since then. World War I was stupid, right? World War I was just muscle flexing. The Korean War and the Vietnam War were all, we're going to spread democracy. We're going to take out the commies. We're going to, again, building a common enemy, making sure everyone's behind it, realizing that you can make a lot of money on it, make a lot of money doing it. You can't forget that. That's the main factor in everything. War is profitable, and it is a racket. War is a racket. I don't remember the John Larkin one night. We got real stoned and drunk, and he made me and Johnny Cannoli listen to whoever the fuck that speech is by. I don't remember who. But you listen to the speech, and, war is a racket. It's just like the Eisenhower speech about the military-industrial complex and how dangerous it is to, let it run amok. And that's exactly what we did. But World War II is really the only legitimate war that we've had to fight. There was a crazy madman that wanted to take over the world, and he had some friends that wanted to help him. So, we needed to hop in and make things happen. And that's when America was at its peak, right? When we came back and won that war, baby. We won that war. We fought 2 wars at once. We beat the Germans and we beat the Japs. We beat them both, and we beat them bad. We dropped the only... It's funny, because everybody's so worried about other countries using nukes. We're the only country that's ever done it, right? We did it twice. We did it twice in the same week, right? Twice in the same fucking time. I mean, and everyone's worried about everyone else? We're the ones who did it. We are the ones who did it. And we did it emphatically. We bombed the fuck out of them, and we helped them rebuild. We went into Europe. We helped them rebuild. We made it happen. We were progressive. The New Deal, right? The country was at a peak. And then once they realized how much money they made off of that war, they're like, hold on. I have an idea. I have a great idea. Let's do this. And that's what it's been since then. So to say that 9/11 is still a legitimate tragedy would probably be true. It's very true to say that 9/11 was a terrible thing that happened, but to keep this mirage in front of us of having some outside force that did this to us, and that being the only reason that we care, it's superficial. And you know me, guys, I don't like that shit. And I'm sure there's people. I'm sure there's people that are listening and they're like, this guy's a fucking asshole. He's an asshole. I mean, people died. People died, man. People died. My brother was on shift during 9/11. No, he doesn't work here. He works in Westchester. He works in Mount Vernon. He works in Syracuse, New York, Waterloo, upstate. But he was on shift, and he heard about it. And his battalion was on standby for 15 minutes until they realized that they didn't need him. They didn't really need him. But they waited. They waited around for 15 minutes, watching on the TV, people dying, planes and smoke. And they were thanking their lucky stars that they weren't called in, but they could have been. They realized that the Waterloo 15th Battalion was too small and they wouldn't help anybody. They would just kind of get in the way. But before they realized that, before they figured that out, they were sitting there with bated breath, waiting to find out if they were going to go save the people, if they were going to go save our democracy. And I I don't resonate with you because I don't care, but I understand. I understand that you're probably listening to me and you have some illusion that you're trying to maintain that was a legitimate attack from a legitimate enemy. It was a manufactured attack from a manufactured enemy for a manufactured cause, so we could manufacture a war to then manufacture a bunch of things that we like, legitimately manufacture things that we like, low gas prices, and we can get lithium, and we can get all these fucking minerals, we can get all these things. It's all it's just a cycle of fear-mongering war. That's what it is, guys. That's why I don't give a fuck about 9/11. I realistically, it's a tragedy. Those people died for no reason. People die but most people don't die for any reason. I think somebody's vomiting outside. But most people don't die for a reason, right? It's funny. People say, needless death. 9/11, that was terrible. Or anything, any tragedy. People just dying needless. It's so terrible. Are there people that die for things anymore? There might be people who are in the military and they really believe, right? They believe that they're out there saving the world. They're helping America gain whatever the fuck that they're trying to gain, but they don't realistically, there aren't people out there that are dying for things that they believe in, not on a grand scale. Most people just, they want to watch Netflix. They want to watch Netflix and eat Doritos, and they'll die just normally, just like anyone else. They die for no reason. Just no reason. There is no reason for death. There's as much reason for death as there is for life. And again, not to go off on a negative tangent here, but it's all absurd, right? The space in between you coming into this planet and the space and you leaving, the space in between that is literally. You do what you want. It's just an experience. It's a ride. Because the beginning and the end, there's no meaning. In the middle, you want to try and find meaning. Sure, you can. But, most people don't die behind something. You always see in someone's, like Twitter bio, stand for something or die for everything. or die for nothing. I don't know. I don't know what the actual thing is. Stand for something or die for nothing, or kneel for nothing. Some stupid shit. Unless you're in a country that's under a legitimate revolution and they're under an authoritarian government and they're trying to have a legitimate revolution, you're probably not dying for anything, Most people they don't go to the grave with reasons. I'm dying because of this. No, you're dying because you drank too much when you were young, and now you have cirrhosis and you're 43 and you can't stop and your skin's yellow. So you're dying because of that. You don't have a reason. The elections are going on. Another smokescreen, another waste of your time, realistically. I have never voted. I don't know if I care to vote ever. Although when I did have John on for the election a few years ago, when it was Biden and Trump going back and forth, we covered what was going on at the time. We had it on the TV. And, John made some good points about being able to vote locally for certain things, very specific things. And then you legitimately have a say, some kind of say. But if you're voting on a federal level, you're just a bit of a fool, if you ask me. But right now, it's not. I don't think it's not. It's definitely not. It's not federal stuff. It's all local stuff. But even to put trust in a politician, to me, is just. It's such a waste of my time. Why even bother? Why even bother? They don't care. They don't give a fuck. And you don't need me to tell you that. They say the same things. They, whatever. But they. I would think a good way to vote would be for specific things to take place in your area. Maybe more funding for you. If you're really big into education, if that's what you think this world needs is education. If your state is lacking in education and there's a bill on there that says if this gets passed, this will be a bill for funding. It'll be a $200 million funding bill for education in the local area. And you want to vote for that? Cool. That's cool, because you're voting for an idea. I like that. I like that a little bit better. You vote for an idea, not a person, because ideas only have so much power. They only have the power that is, that's given to them by the people. And then you just put it into action. Whereas you give a person power, right? It was given by the people, but now they have their own objective. They have their own ways that they want to use their power. Whereas an idea, if it gets passed, it gets passed. There's no way to use it. You get what I'm saying? So to put your faith into any person that's it's just tough for me. And I might even like the person. I met a guy that's running for something in Rhode Island, Enrique Sanchez. Supposedly he's a good guy. I don't know anything. I just met him. And he seemed like a very nice guy. I follow him on Instagram, support, whatever. But I don't know if I care to go out and vote for him or for anybody. It's just not my thing. And if you're out there doing that, then that's great. You care. It's an excuse to get out of your house and walk over to the school that you live next to and go vote. It's a nice social activity. It's a great way to socialize. It's like going to a bar, except you can't actually talk about what you want to talk about, Everyone goes into the polls, they all stand in line, and nobody talks about anything. If I had to assume, because if they were letting people talk about, hey, who you voting for? I'm voting for this guy. We're going to vote, yeah. It would just be madness. There'd be madness at the polls. So I'm sure everybody kind of understands, all right, But voting is one of those things that it's like it's looked at as a duty. As a citizen of America, you should be out there voting. You should be out there voting because it's a freedom that we have. And if you were somewhere else, you wouldn't have that freedom, you know? And it might be a freedom that a guy like me takes for granted. But when I already don't care about who's in power, if you're someone like me who doesn't care about what's going on outside of your personal life, and you're not worried about anything but your personal freedoms, which are a lot easier to uphold than people say, other than, certain big ones like abortions and that type of thing. Thankfully, there's states that you can go ahead and handle that. When is there going to be a bill that says that anything that you do with your body, anything at all, when are they going to say that is legal? That we have no part? That'll never happen, right? If we can be honest, that'll never happen. It'll never be legal to, if all drugs were legal, how are they going to get people hooked on the shit that they're making? How, if they can have so much control over what we can do with our bodies and what we put in our bodies, and, if we want to end our lives, in a professional setting, you have to go to a specific state to do it. And I'm not saying that everyone should be killing themselves, but if you want to, you should be able to. If you were just given a due date, and that's in 2 months, and you're like, fuck that, let's just finish it off now, and you don't have the nuts to put a gun in your mouth or, whatever, which most people don't, you should be able to make that decision for yourself. If you can go get a tattoo, tattoos aren't regulated by the government. Piercings aren't regulated by the government. How come we can do those things? If you go to a war and you get your leg blown off, nobody's got anything bad to say about that. That was part of your body, and now it's gone. That's not illegal. It's not illegal for the government to send you to some butt-fuck country to get a limb blown off, or to get your eye taken out. What about surgeries? Those are all modifications to your body. Those are legal, right? It's funny. When will it be completely legal to do anything you want to your person, to yourself? I don't know. I mean, there's people who do wacky, outrageous shit to themselves. They get, gauges that stretch their earlobes to be huge, and then they get it on their bottom lip, and they get shit implanted into their eyebrows to give them thicker brows, and they get their eyes blacked out and tatted, and they look terrible. They got piercings everywhere. That's legal. That's legal. But you can't get a child out of your body that's literally killing you. If you were to have the kid, you would die. You can't get it out. Sorry, you live in Texas, sweetheart. Sorry, you're going to have to travel. It's disgusting. But every other, you can, realistically, there's ways around these things. They're not the best ways. They're not safe, right? They're not safe. There's no safety in at-home abortions. There's no safety in buying drugs off of some guy that probably cut it with fentanyl or bacons or whatever the fuck. Put a bunch of shit in it that'll probably kill you. But, it's not safe, but you can still sort of uphold your own personal liberties. And these aren't the only things I'm talking about. I'm not just talking about being a degenerate and doing drugs and wanting to kill yourself and whatever. I'm not saying that these are the only things, but these are things that the government does regulate. Yes? Yes, they do. You can't deny it. And there's other ways to uphold your personal freedoms. There's ways to get around being a part of the machine. One way is having a self-sustaining way of living, right? My buddy Dave, who I wanted to get on the show last time I was here, it didn't work out, whatever. He is attempting to move to a bit more of a rural place, and he wants to homestead. He wants to have a garden and grow his own food and raise his own animals and all this shit. And that is one of the best ways to uphold some of your personal liberties. It is, because now you don't have to worry about what's going into your food. You don't have to worry about going into one of these big, unnatural, monstrous pieces of building that we have, that all of us go inside and we shuffle around and we look and I'll grab a box of that and grab a couple of cans of these and throw that in there. And it's all just bullshit, fucking homogenized, microplastic-filled, cheese-dusted gobs of bullshit that we're all going to eat. Right? All FDA approved, by the way. All of it is approved by a company that has some initials that go right off the tongue. Fly right off the tongue beautifully. FDA. And now everybody feels good. Hey, the FDA approved it. We can eat it. We can eat it now. Now the FDA is saying that we can't eat this. So we can't eat it. No more. There's been people pushing for the FDA to put more legible, I guess, more easy to understand nutrition facts on things, because that'll help people. That'll help people. Just like how putting pictures of babies with low birth weight on the packages of cigarettes is stopping Europeans from smoking cigarettes. They smoke tons of cigarettes, actually. You know, they smoke a lot of cigarettes, and they're forced to look at these fucking things, and they don't give a fuck. That'll stop. Just like here in America, smoking causes cancer. Okay, cool. Give me a pack. You know, people look right past it. That is as blatant as a motherfucker can get. If we had food that said right on the front, that said, hey, some of the shit in this could cause cancer, people would say, that's a new flavor. I want to try that. I want to try that new flavor of Fig Newtons. What? They cause cancer? Okay, well, throw them in there and we'll see. You know, we'll let the devil play his hand. And that would never show up on food, right? That would never show up on our food. That would never, it would never say that these animals were raised in a certain way that if you ate their meat, it could kill you so many years down the road. It would never say that. And that's as blatant as you can get. But they won't do that. They won't. They'd rather have numbers and percentages, and this is based on these many calories per day, and this is They just have these guidelines that they've all agreed on. Yeah, no, this is good. Yeah. No, this is good. This is good. You eat this much per day, and this is a good recommended daily dose of beep, boop, blah, blah, blah. It's all just stupid. It's stupid, and it's another way for them to regulate how you're eating now. Regulate how you eat. And that's why it's so interesting living off the grid to me. One day, regardless of fame or if any of this shit works out, there's a part of me that wants to do that wants to live pretty much off the grid, like completely. I would love that. Have a home that's heated by fire, so I don't need a bill. Right? There's no electric bill. There's no electric company. My water is from a well. It goes through a fucking filtration system, so I don't need utilities. Right? The lights in my house are run off of, I don't know. There's no lights. How about that? No lights in the house. It's dark at nighttime. Use a candle to read. Okay? That's, I mean, it would be I'm not saying I would even like that, but I would like to experience what it would be like to not have any influence from the outside world. Not saying I would want that forever, and I would even go so far as to say that I would like to be able to turn it off whenever I want, which is why being in a place financially, a good place financially, would be nice. Because then I could just shut it off, go back to my beach house on the Hamptons, and I can live the rest of my days saying, poof, no wonder people don't do that. No wonder people don't homestead and raise their own animals and chop wood all day. I mean, fuck that. But, it is an interesting take. It is at very least an interesting take on life. to be able to just kind of, it's like Dave Pranecki. Look, I think his name was Dave. Or Rich Pranecki. Let's look him up just so I don't fuck his name up because I want you guys to look into this guy. Dave. This might not be him. Richard Pranecki. Yes, he was a journalist who ended up going out to Alaska and lived there for 30 years on his own, all by himself. No pussy, no nothing. And he documented the whole thing. And he was completely sustainable. A bird would come in and sit on his finger, and, he'd feed it from his other hand. And he was a journalist who went out there and just said, fuck it, I'm going to stay. And he built his own shit. He didn't give a fuck about work anymore because he didn't need it. Now he lived in a place where jobs, who gives a fuck what your job is? Who cares how many people you made laugh on a Saturday night? Nobody cares. These mountains don't care. These trees don't care. These animals that want to eat you and the food that you spent all fucking summer harvesting, all this shit, they don't give a fuck about any of that. They don't care about the Instagram followers that you had. They don't care. They don't care. Nothing care. Nothing out there is worried about you at all, and it will eat you. It will eat you alive. Not just physical animals. The loneliness will eat you alive. The weather, the conditions, the hard nature of living out there on your own would literally eat you alive. It would be tough. So it'd be nice, realistically, to have a hybrid. Have like a nice compound where you can have Wi-Fi, I guess. You got, kind of like the Liver King. Kind of how the Liver King has kind of duped everybody into thinking that he lives like a mountain man or ancestral tenants, and then he goes in his big, 30,000 square foot fucking ranch or his house that he goes in with the big high ceilings that he pays a lot of money to heat in the wintertime and to cool in the summertime, all those things. And then he has his nice marble deck in the back, Italian marble, and he stands over the immigrant that's putting it in, and he makes sure that he's doing it the right way. That's very ancestral. And then he shoots a bunch of horse steroids into his ass, and then sits down in front of a camera, eats raw liver, throws a spear at a tree, and says, "Primals, this is how you're supposed to live. I sleep on a brick. I sleep on a single brick. I put it right under my lower back, and I sleep like that." Like, it's just, he's doing a great job of selling himself, which is good. He's showing them one hand and hiding the other, which is very good. But he is doing it in a way that is attractive to a lot of people. It sounds like something that people could do. This guy is jacked. He lives out on a big ranch, and you forget all those things. Very Kardashian-like. This ties all into one. These are marketing geniuses, people. They're geniuses. They hide the shit that they're actually doing, and they mask it with some shit that sounds good. That's what it is. And they use perfect use of aesthetics. Perfect use. I mean, that guy looks like he would be a barbarian. Not a real one, but in your mind, you'd be like, that's what, because a barbarian wouldn't be that cut up. They'd have a big beard, and they'd be muscular, and they'd whatever. But, I mean, they'd be drinking beer. They'd have no teeth, right? They'd be fucked up a lot of the time, and they would just, they'd murder people. And I don't know if that guy has the capacity to do that. Maybe he does. He seems like a hard man, a man who could kill if need be. But he definitely plays to it a lot. But I went to him because he lives in a way that would be cool, something that's interesting. You have a big ranch, a lot of land. You can ride your vehicles all over the place. Maybe you go into the woods. Maybe you have another secret fucking hideout in the woods. Like, that would be cool to me. That would be very cool to me. Having like a prepper compound, I've expressed my interest in that before. And that life is a very long time from now because there's a lot of capital needed if you want to have something like that. So that's not something that you'll probably see me doing. I mean, there's a higher chance of me. But like I said, if none of this works, none of this comedy shit works, this podcast doesn't work, my backup plan is to be a fireman or to be a fucking logger or something somewhere in some small town and just, live in obscurity. Maybe start a family or whatever and then convince them that it's a smarter idea to go be self-sustaining in the woods, That's my backup plan. Before it was going to be full-time mountain man, I don't know if I could exist that way. Coming out here, not knowing anybody, being alone, it's definitely had an effect on me. So I don't know if I could do it out in the woods alone, mountain man, Even with a woman, it would be weird. It's just us two, It would be a really weird thing to happen. But this is me sitting here as a dumb 25-year-old, doesn't know what's going to happen next in his life. But what I do know that's going to happen next is we're going to end this fucking episode because it's time. It's time for me to shut the fuck up. And I have a new date. It's in October. I think it's the 14th. Let's see. Let's triple check. We got 10/14 at Stand Up New York. Going to be a fun time. I should have another date somewhere in there, either the 7th of October or the 24th of September. We're going to see. That'll probably be in Providence. A friend of mine, another comic, Mr. Johnny Rotten. He offered me a spot. So it'll be, there'll be some fun stuff on the horizon. And stay tuned for the clips, some fun clips, some fun content from my experience at the Portland, Maine Comedy Festival. We're going to try and get it out by the end of the month. The first episode of it by the end of the month. It's going to be like a 3-part thing. I'll be advertising it on my Instagram, so nobody will see it. And, be on the lookout for that. It's going to be a lot of fun. And I think that's it, motherfuckers. I'll talk to y'all on Thursday. Peace. Follow the show. Subscribe on the YouTube. Buy me a coffee. Use the links. Bye-bye.